Hello guys, I'm Tristan Lambert. Today, I'm going to be making a Monster Energy tier list. So you pretty much know how these work at this point. So let's just get right into making this tier list now. So I'm going to just go from left to right here, so in alphabetical order. So we're going to kick things off with a Monster Assault. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this flavour, unfortunately. I personally think that the original flavour that's mixed in there is too strong. It's not insanely strong, but it is in there and it's definitely noticeable. And I'm not the biggest fan of the original flavour. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into D tier. The Assault tastes basically, it's like a cola flavour mixed with the original Monster flavour. That's what it tastes like. But from what I've heard, the OG Assault, the original Assault that they used to do, was a lot better than the one they got now. But I've never had the old Assault, unfortunately, so I can't say. But from the way it was described, I personally think I would like the old Assault more as well. But I'm ranking the Assault based on the new one, not the old one. So that is why it's in D tier. A Monster Chaotic. Now, I really like this flavour. It is a nice, overall good, round flavour. I'd have it quite often if I had the opportunity to. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into B tier. It's a bit more than nice, because I can't really describe to you what it tastes like either, unfortunately. And also like the Assault, there used to be an older version called Chaos, but I never had the old version of that either. But the new one is still pretty good. I like it and I would drink it quite occasionally. It doesn't get A or God tier because at times it can be quite a boring beverage in a way, or I'm just not really feeling it. So that's why it's in B tier. A Lewis Hamilton Monster. So I had this one very recently, literally Wednesday actually, so a few days ago. And I really liked it. It was nice. I didn't per se love it or find it bus, but overall it is a nice, good, solid beverage. It tastes basically like a Red Bull or an Emerge with a hint of strawberry in there. Or if you've had the Polish beverage Hell, it's quite similar to a strawberry Hell. But basically think of a original flavour like Red Bull. Not the original Monster flavour, more like a Red Bull or an Emerge. And a lot sweeter than that. It's basically with a hint of strawberry. And that's where it gets the sweetness from. But I'm going to be putting it into C tier because it's a nice overall good beverage, but not one I'd have all the time. And there's monsters I would have over it. A Mango Loco Monster. Now, I really like this flavour of Monster. It's not my favourite Monster of all time. However, it is definitely up there. It is so good. I like the way the mango tastes. It's got the right amount of sweetness to it. It goes down really smooth. It's refreshing despite the amount of sugar. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into A tier. And it's by far one of my favourite A tier monsters. A Mixed Punch Monster. Now, like the Mango Loco, I also really like this monster. So it's also going to be going into A tier. A Mixed Punch tastes like, it's like a cherry flavoured beverage to me, with hints of obviously other stuff in there as well. It is so good though. It goes down really smooth. It's got the right amount of cherry. The cherry hits you just right. It's very refreshing. I just really like a Mixed Punch. But I would have the Mango Loco over it if I had to choose between the two. And obviously Mango Loco tastes like mango. It's mango. There's a bit of other stuff in there as well though. A Monster Monarch. Now, we're getting into beverages I really like. Monarch is such a good flavour. It's going into God tier. It is one of my favourite Monster flavours out there. It's peach flavoured, and it's by far my favourite peach flavoured beverage. I'd even have it over a Peach Fizz Rain. if you ignore the sugar anyways. But it just goes down so smooth, the peach hits you just right. So for that reason, it's going all the way up in God tier. A Monster Mule. Now, I do not like this flavour at all. I do not like this monster one bit. It's my least favourite monster. It's going into F tier. It's a ginger flavoured beverage, but when I drank it, it tasted like I was eating Ed Sheeran's pubes. Or even worse, his arse crack hair! So, if you can imagine what Ed Sheeran's arse crack hair, or pubes, or ball sack hair tastes like, then that's basically what the Mule tastes like to me. Well, not literally that bad, but it's a ginger flavoured. I'm not really a fan of ginger flavours at all. I don't like ginger flavoured things, really. So, yeah. Some of you might have it all the way up in A or God tier if you really like the ginger flavour. But for me, it's going into F tier. A Nitro Super Dry monster. Now, this monster is quite a weird flavour. I can't really describe to you what it tastes like. Apparently a lot of people say it tastes like lime. I can kind of see that. To me it tastes similar to like a Lilt, like an orange Lilt or something. Which is like a knockoff of Fanta or something, I believe. It's like an English... No, not a knockoff. It's like an English soda or fizzy drink that we have over here. So if you live in the UK, you might know what a Lilt is. It's quite underrated in my opinion. But Nitro Super Dry is also extremely dry. And it's also got that hidden fizz in there that makes you want to burp a lot more than any other monster would, if it makes sense. But it doesn't taste fizzy, but it feels fizzy. It is a weird beverage. By far the weirdest monster on this list. But I'm not really the biggest fan of it. In my opinion, it's simply just too dry. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into D tier. I'd have the Assault over it just because the Assault isn't the greatest of flavours, but it's not that dry, unlike the Nitro Super Dry is. I mean, it's literally in the name, Nitro Super Dry. It's a niche flavour. If you like the dryness of it, you'll probably be putting it into these sort of tiers up here, and I can see that, to be fair, but I'm not really the biggest fan of the dryness. It's not my worst flavoured beverage, though. There are monsters, I mean, Mule. I would have it over a Mule any day. The original monster. The OG of them. Where it all started from. Unfortunately, I'm not really the biggest fan of the original flavour. I already said that. That's why I'm not really keen on the Assault. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into E tier. It's my second least favourite monster in my opinion. I'm just not a fan of the original flavour. But I would have it over a Mule. I mean, I couldn't even finish a Mule. It was that bad to me. I found it that disgusting. A Pacific Punch monster. Now, this is by far my favourite flavour of monster of all time. This, to me, is the GOAT of monster flavours. So for that reason, it's going to be going into God tier. Now, what does it taste like? I can't really describe it to you, unfortunately. You're going to have to just have one for yourself. Well, it tastes like a Pacific Punch. But it's so good, goes down so smooth. It tastes good, it hits good, goes down smooth. It checks all the boxes. By far, my favourite monster flavour. So that's why it goes into God tier with the Monarch. A Pipeline Punch monster. Now, this is an interesting flavour to me. I know a lot of people really love this flavour, almost to the point where they'd be putting it into God tier up here. However, I'm not the biggest fan of this flavour myself. Well, I like the flavour, but I'm not the biggest fan of the sweetness. So, I just find it too sweet, and that's my opinion of it. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into C tier. It's not a terrible flavour. I do like it, and it's one I'd have occasionally. But it's not like, it's just, like I said, it's just a bit too sweet for me. What does it taste like? I can't really say what it tastes like, to be honest. It's a bit similar to a chaotic, just a lot sweeter for me. But I would have a chaotic over a pipeline punch, in my opinion. But pipeline punch isn't a bad flavour either, so that's why it's going into C tier. A Monster Ripper. Now, again, this is a flavour that's changed over time and used to be a lot better from what I've heard. However, I'm going by the new Ripper here. And it's an alright flavour, it's just a bit boring though. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into C tier. It's a nice flavour yet again, but it is a little bit boring at times. It's like a pineapple-y. A lot of it is too much pineapple in it. There's just too much going on in a Monster Ripper for it to be good. Or should I say, for it to be bussing or great. But it's not a bad beverage either. It's just a little bit boring, to be honest. There's just too much going on. For Dr. Monster. Now, again, I really like this flavour of Monster. It's one of my favourite flavours. So I'm going to be putting it into God tier, where it joins Pacific Punch and a Monster Monarch. Now, which one would I take over, a Monarch or the Doctor, would depend what mood I'm in. The Doctor basically tastes like drinking orange squash. It's basically an orange flavoured beverage. It hits nice and it's a good flavour overall. One of my favourite flavours of Monster of all time. So for that reason, I'm putting it into God tier. Now we move on to the Ultra Monsters. So these are all sugar-free. And we're kicking things off with an Ultra Black. Now, an Ultra Black is a nice flavour. It's a cherry flavoured Monster. However, the cherry's a little bit too weak for me. It's good, but it isn't great. So I'm going to be putting it into C tier for that very reason. It's just a nice, good cherry flavoured beverage overall. An Ultra Blue. Now, this is my favourite Ultra flavour, and it's one of my favourite Monster flavours overall. However, the sad thing with this flavour is that they discontinued it a while back. There's still cans floating around, of course, but it's nowhere near as many cans as there used to be, as they're no longer making them. So I'm going to be putting Ultra Blue into A tier. It's just such a nice flavoured Monster. It's a mixed berry flavour, and yeah, so it basically tastes like a bunch of berries mixed together, but they mix it together really nice, unlike a raspberry rain. An Ultra Citron Monster. Probably the rarest flavour of Monster there is, no matter where you are in the world. I was very lucky to even be able to drink this flavour. However, it's somewhat disappointing, the flavour. But it isn't terrible either. I wouldn't say it's disappointing. It's a unique flavour. It's not lemon flavour, but it tastes more like a lemonade flavour. So if you ever had Aussie lemonade, which is a monster I couldn't get my hands on, it's quite similar to that. Or if you've ever had a lemonade in general and you liked it, you probably like an Ultra Citron. But it's not my favourite flavour of Monster, unfortunately. So I'm going to be putting it into C tier. It's a nice flavour, but not my favourite. An Ultra Fiesta Mango. Now, this is quite a nice flavour. Would I have it over a Mango Loco? No, not in my opinion. I do prefer a Mango Loco due to the taste. However, the flavour is still quite similar to a Mango Loco, except this one's sugar-free. And it's still a nice flavour overall. I really actually like this flavour. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into B tier. An Ultra Gold. So this is a pineapple flavoured Monster. And I actually quite like it. It is a bit boring at times, or sometimes it may taste boring, but it hits better than a Ripper does, by far. And I do really like this flavour. It's not my favourite Ultra flavour, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. So for that reason, I'm also going to be putting it into B tier, along with the Ultra Fiesta Mango. An Ultra Paradise Monster. Now, I really like this flavour. It is an apple flavoured monster. The only apple flavoured monster, in fact, because there isn't a sugared apple monster out there for whatever reason. But I really like this flavour, so I'm going to be putting it into A tier where it joins Ultra Blue. But I would have an Ultra Blue over an Ultra Paradise. An Ultra Peachy Keen monster. Now, it was a bit of a disappointing flavour when I tried it, unfortunately. I had to get it imported and everything. It wasn't too bad the price, but it was still quite expensive compared to what you would normally pay for a monster. But I thought, why not? Try it for the channel and get it over and done with. However, it isn't what I expected it to be. I mean, it's obviously a peach flavoured beverage, but it isn't as nice tasting as a Monarch. Nowhere near, in fact. I would even have a peach fizz rain over it. No, actually, I definitely would have a peach fizz rain over it. It's just not sweet. It's just missing that sweetness that you get from a sugar, or it's got that weird fake no sugar thing in there going on. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into C tier. It's still a nice flavour, but the peach just tastes a little weird to me and a bit boring even. So that's why I'm putting it into C tier. So yeah, sugar definitely makes a peach flavoured beverage taste better usually. The only one that's managed to pull off a sugar-free peach flavoured beverage is the Rain. And even now, it's not my favourite flavour of Rain. An Ultra Red. Now, an Ultra Red is a really nice flavoured beverage. It's a really nice flavour of Monster. However, like the blue, it's also been discontinued, sadly. And also like the blue, I'm going to be putting it into A tier. It's not the nicest of flavours of all time, but it is a very drinkable flavour. It goes down really smooth. And for that reason, I'm going to be putting it into A tier. The Paradise and Blue are in there because of the flavour and the drinkableness as well. An Ultra Rosa Monster. Now, this one was introduced to the UK recently, but I also had this one imported along with the Peachy Keen about a month ago. And this one was a lot less disappointing than the Peachy Keen was. I actually liked this one quite a bit. Now, what does it taste like? I can't really say. I mean, even on the can it says it tastes like an Ultra Rosa. It's got a hint of that pipeline punch in there, but in a nicer way, if it makes sense. It's like a pipeline punch, but without that sweetness that I'm not really keen on. But it's also got other stuff going on in there as well. It's like if you mix maybe an Ultra Red with a pipeline punch or something like that. But I really like this flavour. Overall, it is a nice flavoured Ultra. It's not quite A tier because it doesn't have that bussiness that the Ultra Blue has, or the Paradise, or the full-on drinkableness that the Red does. But it definitely still deserves B tier. An Ultra Sunrise Monster. Now, this literally just tastes like orange. It tastes like the Doctor, but without sugar in it. However, it is missing something that the Doctor has. Well, you could say sugar, obviously. And it probably is. The sugar does sometimes add a little hit to it, if you know what I mean. However, it's still a very good flavour of Monster. I could see myself drinking that flavour more often than the Doctor, simply because it's sugar-free. So for that reason, I'm still going to be putting it into A tier. It's still one of my favourite Ultra flavours. Ultraviolet Monster. Now, this is a grape flavour of Monster. And I used to really not like this flavour a long time ago. But when I had it recently, I actually really liked it. It's not going to be A tier good, in my opinion. But it's good enough for it to go into B tier. I actually kind of like that one. It hit nice and it went down pretty smooth as well. It's more at the back end of B tier though. It's not my favourite B tier Monster, but it's definitely up there. An Ultra Watermelon Monster. Now, this flavour is quite new as well, like the Ultra Gold. I forgot to mention Ultra Gold is quite a new flavour, only came out like this year in the UK. But unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan of the Ultra Watermelon. It's a good flavour. I do like every Ultra flavour. There's no Ultra flavour that I don't like. But Ultra Watermelon isn't my favourite flavour either. For me, the watermelon is a bit too sour, and it makes you salivate a bit too much. A bit like the sour Warhead Watermelon Ghost or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's a bit too sour for me. Sour apple usually does quite well. The Ultra Paradise isn't sour. But when it comes to watermelon, it just makes me salivate too much, maybe makes me want more. Yeah, it's just a weird thing. But it's a good flavour still, I'd have it. It just sometimes feels a bit weird when it's going into my stomach. It's not the smoothest of flavours, basically. It doesn't go down as smooth as, let's say, an Ultra Red would. Now, finally, to finish things off, we've got the Ultra Monster. The OG Ultra, Ultra White, Ultra whatever, just Ultra. Now, a lot of people really like this flavour, but I hate it. No, I'm joking. I actually like this flavour a lot as well. It's very drinkable. The flavour itself is kind of like a lemon sort of flavour, I guess. But it goes down really, really, really smooth. It's probably my second favourite Ultra flavour, as a matter of fact. However, I would take the Ultra Blue over it, because the Ultra Blue tastes better than the classic Ultra, in my opinion. And it also goes down smooth. But the Ultra Monster just goes down so smooth. It's very drinkable and very refreshing. And for that reason, it goes into A tier. So yeah, that was a Monster Energy tier list. So if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe, and goodbye, and I will see you in the next video.